All right, let's get started with creating our form. So we are back in the text editor here, and in the body, we are going to specify our form element and then start adding our form tags. Sorry, start adding element or children to it. Okay, so the first thing we would have to do is to create a form. All right. Okay, I will explain this action shortly. Now, this action here is an attribute whose value is supposed to be the location of a script, a server-side script that will process this form. In other words, say you have filled a form, let's say on Facebook. Okay, so you entered your username and password and you click on login. Okay, um, the moment you click on login, the information is captured and sent to the server. When we were talking about the World Wide Web, we looked at the client server scenario. So the information is sent to the server to process it. Okay, so normally this action attribute is used to specify where the data captured in the form is supposed to go for processing. Okay, there is another attribute which is a method. Okay, and you you of course will realize that you have some familiar words there. There's get and there's post, and I've explained them, right? Then if we are creating a form that is supposed to send information to the server, right, then it's supposed to use we are supposed to use posts as the HTTP request method. Okay, we are supposed to use post. Um, but this for this particular form, we are not going to be submitting anything to anywhere, so there's no need having the action attribute or the method attribute. All right, so let's say the first thing we want to create. Uh, okay, I think we should first look at the uh, form element. Okay, the form element, we spoke about input, we spoke about test area, and we looked at select. Okay, so first let's have an input. Okay, to create an input or a text field, all right, all you have to do is create an input element or tag. All right, now remember this is an empty element, that means it doesn't have a closing tag. Okay, then you specify an attribute. All right, type, what do you want it to be? You can see that VS Code has given us a lot of options, and these are many of them that we spoke about already in the previous video. Okay, so let's just use test for now. Okay, let's use test for now. There is a second attribute that you can specify, which is the name attribute. Now this name um, is a unique um, identifier, although we have an ID, but this name, the name value here, okay, whatever that will be entered in this particular input will be stored in the name. So it's like the variable name, okay, for the input, so that when the user inserts something, that then is captured and placed there. So let's say um, first name. Okay, all right, variable names, they are not supposed to have spaces between them. Let's refresh this, go to our page and see what we have. Okay, so we are saying name, all right, and because I've filled some forms here, Google Chrome is just trying to be helpful here. Anyway, so let's say this is my first name. Of course it's not it's my middle name, but say this is my first name. All right, and then I've entered it there. What will happen is the moment I click on the submit button, this name here, this value here will be captured and stored in this variable. Okay, that means that in this at the server side, what you are going to process, um, it's actually inside this variable. So you are going to receive this variable which will contain this name. Okay, so that is what the name attribute does. The ID, you can give it an ID as well. Okay, first name. It's also a unique identifier. So we spoke about this earlier on, that you can target certain element by their ID names and apply some formatting. But this is not only the case. There is another form element that I didn't mention, which is called label. Okay, and the label is having a for attribute. The for attribute is referring to the input, okay, which this label is describing. So for example, inside here I can say first name. All right, so this label is for the input that is going to contain the first name. Okay, so for, then the value of the for, okay, attribute must be the same as that of the ID. All right, something like this. So we have a label for first name. Okay, all right, and that first name is making reference to this particular field here with the ID of first name. Now watch what this will do. The moment I click on this label, you see that it has automatically placed the cursor in the text field. Okay, so sometimes when you are filling forms and you just click on the label, you realize that the cursor has jumped into the field, the text field, and then you just start typing. All right, so that is what the for is used for. Okay, don't know if that is a correct expression, but still I made it anyway. All right, so the label is another form element, okay, which it's more like a description of the immediate input, okay, or immediate form element that it is placed before or on top of. All right, okay, so we have seen the label, input type. This is an input. All right, let's say we want to create a select, and this is a drop down. Okay, what we can do is to have the select element. All right, name. So let's say this is gender. Okay, let's say countries. Okay, also this is also countries. Okay, so before this we'll have a label. Okay, and it say countries, and here what we will say is select your country. All right, so inside the select element we are going to have multiple children. Okay, and those are the options. All right, so the options of countries we want to give, so that the user can select one of them. All right, so that we use the option element. Okay, use the option element, and the option has an attribute called value. All right, now what we are going to display here, let's say the first country is Ghana. The value we can say GH. Okay, now for the user, they will see Ghana, all right, and select. Okay, so let me refresh this and let's go. So when you click on this, it is only Ghana that appears, just one. All right, so when you select Ghana, all right, what is actually selected in the background is GH. So GH is what will be sent to the server and not Ghana itself. Okay, so the value attribute specify the exact value that you want to send to the server, and not necessarily what the user is seeing. So in most cases, some of these are even numbers. All right, they are IDs. So let's say you have a list of countries in your database somewhere. All right, database, you have done database access, so you know what I'm talking about, ID. Okay, so you can just specify IDs here, numbers here, but On the surface, the users will see the name of the countries and they will select a country, but for you in your program, what you are seeing is a number that matches to a country name inside your database. All right, let's have another option. Okay, and let's see, our next option is Germany. Okay, and then we have a third option. All right, and that is Canada. This is my favorite country that I want to visit. I have a sister there. Okay, then um, let's add one more. Yeah, Sweden. This is where I want to go and do my masters, hopefully. Uh, so we have four options here, or four countries. All right. These values here I explained, so it depends on what you want to put there. All right. Germany, you can make it GER. Okay. Canada is CA. Sweden is SWE. I don't know whether this is the correct one. I'm just making up something. Anyway, so when we get back to from now, you see that we have more list, right? That we can select from. Okay. But note that whatever you are selecting here is not the actual thing that is going to be sent to the server. It is what you specify as the value, okay, for the value attribute. This is kind of funny. Anyway, that will be sent to the server. Okay. There is something that we can do here. One attribute that we have not mentioned yet, and um, I want to make mention of that. That attribute is disabled. Okay. Now let me just say uh, choose one. All right. Let me type choose one over here. I'm not going to explain display disabled yet. But let's see what will happen. All right. When we do this, we have choose one, but it is not selectable. Okay. This is also an option. If we get back to the code, it's an option, but it is not selectable here. Why? It's because we have disabled it. Okay. So, in fact, if you don't want maybe a certain element to be filled until some time, you can disable it. And this disable can be put on the input as well, like the first name. We can disable it as well. And when we go back here, we realize that we cannot type anything. It's disabled. Okay, so I think this is a perfect opportunity to mention the disable attribute. Uh, we are done with select. So far we looked at a label, right? We looked at an input, okay? We looked at a select, and then let's talk about the last thing, which is text area. Okay, so text area, uh, columns. I've explained this already, name and ID, but the calls and rules, what do they mean? Okay, remember when I was saying that um, if you want users to enter multiple lines of text, then you would need to use text area. Okay, so here everything is displayed, everything is in grid. Okay, it's in grid, that is rows and columns. So you are saying that look, the okay the person can type as many as, okay, uh, 10 rows of sentences. And the column, that means you are supposed to have 30 30 characters per column. All right, 30 characters, yes. So per row, okay, you can have a row like this. So the 10 here means you're having the user can type up to 10 rows. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now in each row you can have up to 30 characters, up to 30 characters in each row. Okay, something like this. So if you don't want the people to type plenty, you can just make it three, right? Three. You realize that it will be decrease or reduce. Depends on how many sentences you think that the person it's reasonable for the person to type. Okay, I think the video is getting lengthy. We will end here. When we come back, we will look at field sets and legends, and then we move on to types of inputs. All right, see ya.